I've been the family ATM for 15 years, and I didn't even know it. My name is Riley, and I'm about to tell you how my parents turned me into their personal piggy bank while treating my younger sister like she was made of spun gold. But first, let me paint you a picture of what Sunday dinners look like in the Wilkins household. Riley, can you grab the dishes? Mom called from the living room, where she was adjusting the throw pillows for the third time. Georgia's telling us about her internship interview. I scraped congealed gravy off plates while my 23-year-old sister held court in the next room, gesturing dramatically with her manicured nails. The same nails I'd indirectly paid for, though I didn't realize it then. They said I have exactly the kind of fresh perspective they're looking for, Georgia gushed. The interviewer practically offered me the position on the spot. That's our girl, Dad boomed. Denise, didn't I tell you she'd knock their socks off? I loaded the dishwasher, listening to them fawn over her like she'd just cured cancer instead of nailing a basic interview question. This was nothing new. Georgia had been the star of every family gathering since she could walk, while I'd been the one making sure there were clean glasses for everyone to toast her with. Riley, Mom's voice carried that edge it got when she was about to assign me another task. Can you run to the store? We're out of that sparkling cider Georgia likes. The store closes in 20 minutes, I said, checking my phone. You'll make it if you hurry. I grabbed my keys without arguing. I always grabbed my keys without arguing. The pattern had been set so early I couldn't remember when it started. Riley handles the practical stuff. Riley pays for the practical stuff. Riley makes sure everyone else can focus on the important things, like Georgia's future. Every birthday party, I was the one who stayed late to clean up while Georgia got driven home by friends, exhausted from being celebrated. Every family vacation, I was the one who researched hotels and calculated budgets, while Georgia picked out new outfits for the trip. Every milestone, every achievement, every moment that mattered, I was the stagehand making sure the spotlight stayed on her. And I told myself it was fine. I told myself it was what big sisters did. The real kicker? I actually believed them when they said all my hard work was building towards something. Every paycheck I deposited into that joint account, every overtime shift I picked up, every dollar I didn't spend on myself, it was all going toward my future home. You're so smart to save like this, Dad would say, patting my shoulder. Most kids your age blow their money on nonsense, but you're building something real. We're so proud of how responsible you are, Mom would add. Georgia could learn a thing or two from your discipline. Discipline. That's what they called it when I wore the same 3 work outfits on rotation, while Georgia got a new wardrobe every season. Discipline was eating peanut butter sandwiches for lunch, while she got money for trendy cafes. Discipline was driving my 10-year-old Honda, while she complained that her car was embarrassing compared to her friends. But it was all worth it, right? Because I was building toward independence. I was going to have my own place, my own life, my own space, where I could finally breathe without someone asking me to handle something for them. Last Tuesday, I found it. The perfect starter home 3 blocks from my office, with a little garden and enough room for the life I'd been planning for years. The realtor said if I could get the deposit together by Friday, it was mine. I practically floated home, already imagining myself painting the bedroom walls and hosting dinners where I was the guest instead of the help. You seem happy, Georgia said when I walked in, not looking up from her phone. Just had a good day, I said, trying to contain my excitement until I could talk to Mom and Dad about accessing the account. That's nice. She scrolled past another post. Oh, by the way, Mom and Dad are in the kitchen whispering about some big surprise for me, probably graduation related. I smiled and headed upstairs, my heart still racing with possibility. A surprise for Georgia. How perfectly normal. If only I'd known that surprise was going to cost me everything. I cornered Dad in his home office Wednesday morning, clutching the realtor's paperwork like a lifeline. I need to transfer money from the joint account, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. $15,000 for the house deposit. The seller wants it by Friday. Dad didn't look up from his computer. House deposit? The starter home I told you about? 3 blocks from work? I showed you the listing last week. Oh, right. He clicked through a few more emails. This week's not great, kiddo. I've got that quarterly report due, and your mother's swamped with Georgia's graduation planning. It's just a bank transfer, takes 5 minutes. Let me talk to your mother first. You know how she gets about big financial decisions. Big financial decisions? With my own money. Money I'd been saving for exactly this purpose. Dad, the realtor needs an answer by tomorrow. If I don't put down the deposit, I lose the house. There'll be other houses. The dismissal in his voice made my stomach clench, but I pushed forward. This one's perfect. It's in my budget, good neighborhood, move-in ready. I've been saving for this for years. Riley, he finally looked at me, and something in his expression made me take a step back. Let's discuss this later. Your mother and I need to review the account situation. Review the account situation. The account that was supposed to be mine. I found Mom in the kitchen, aggressively organizing the spice rack. Dad says you need to review the account situation before I can access my money, I said. Her hand stilled on the oregano bottle. It's not that simple, honey. What's not simple about it? It's my money in a joint account. I need $15,000 for a house deposit. We've had some unexpected expenses lately. What kind of expenses? She turned to face me, and I saw something I'd never seen before in her eyes. Guilt. Georgia's graduation is expensive. The party, her interview outfits, the car insurance for her new... She stopped mid-sentence. Her new what? Nothing. Just expenses. My heart started hammering. Mom, what new car? Riley, sit down. I don't want to sit down. What new car? Dad appeared in the doorway like he'd been listening from the hall. We were going to tell you after the graduation party. Tell me what? They exchanged one of those married couple looks that said everything and nothing. We bought Georgia a car, Mom said quietly. A graduation present. The kitchen tilted. With what money? The account money, Dad said. Your money, technically, but how much? Riley, how much of my money did you spend on a car for Georgia? Silence stretched between us like a chasm. Most of it, Mom whispered. I pulled out my phone and opened the banking app with shaking fingers. The joint account I'd been feeding for 15 years showed a balance of $2,947. 15 years of overtime shifts, 15 years of skipped meals and second-hand clothes, and saying no to every invitation that cost money. 15 years of believing I was building something. $47,000, I said, staring at the screen. You spent $47,000 of my money on a car for Georgia. It's not just a car, Dad said quickly. It's an investment in her future. She needs reliable transportation for job interviews, networking events. I drive a Honda with 200,000 miles on it. That's different. You're established in your career. I'm established because I never had the money to take risks, because every dollar I made went into this account that was supposed to be for my future. It is for your future, Mom said. Georgia's success benefits the whole family. When she's making good money, she'll be able to help. Help with what? I've been helping for 15 years. When does someone help me? You're being dramatic, Dad said. It's just a house. There will be other opportunities. Just a house. I looked at them both, really looked at them, and saw strangers. This was my chance to finally have something of my own. You have plenty of your own things, Mom said. Name one. Name one thing in my life that you two haven't had a say in, haven't benefited from, haven't used to make Georgia's life easier. They couldn't answer. What kind of car? I asked. Riley, what kind of car did you buy her with my life savings? A BMW, Dad said quietly. It's practical. Good safety ratings. A BMW? $47,000 of my sweat and sacrifice, sitting in some dealership lot with a bow on it. You're being selfish, Mom said, her voice gaining strength. Georgia's worked hard for this graduation. She deserves to celebrate. And what do I deserve? You deserve to be proud of your sister's accomplishments. I stared at her, This woman who'd raised me to believe that love meant sacrifice, that being good meant being invisible. I need to see the receipts, I said. What? Every transaction, every withdrawal. I want to see exactly how you spent my money. Dad's face went red. That account is in our names too. Legally, we had every right. Legally, maybe. But morally? I turned toward the door. I'm going to my room. Don't follow me. Riley, you're overreacting, Mom called after me. I stopped at the bottom of the stairs and looked back at them. 15 years, I said. 15 years I believed you. I spent that night pulling every bank statement, every receipt, every piece of paper that proved what they'd done to me. By 3 a.m., my bedroom floor looked like a tornado had hit an accountant's office. The numbers didn't lie. $47,312. Gone. My phone buzzed. Adrian. You awake? Saw your light on when I drove past. Adrian lived 2 streets over and had been my closest friend since college. He was also the only person who'd ever called out my family's bullshit to my face. Come over, I texted back. Use the back door. 10 minutes later, he was sitting on my floor, staring at the paper trail of my financial murder. Jesus, Riley. He picked up a bank statement from 2019. They've been bleeding you dry for years. I kept records of everything, I said, my voice hoarse from crying. Every deposit, every contribution. Look at this. I handed him a spreadsheet I'd created. 15 years of data, color-coded and cross-referenced. You made this? I updated every month. I thought I was tracking my progress toward independence. Turns out I was documenting my own exploitation. Adrian whistled low. This is insane. You've got dates, amounts, even notes about what you sacrificed to make each deposit. December 2018. Skipped Christmas gifts to contribute extra $800. March 2020. Worked double shifts during pandemic. Deposited entire stimulus check plus overtime. I laughed bitterly. I was so proud of my discipline. Riley, this isn't discipline. This is financial abuse. The words hit like a slap. Don't be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic. Look at this pattern. They trained you to hand over your money while convincing you it was for your own good. That's textbook manipulation. My phone rang. Mom. Don't answer it, Adrian said. I declined the call. It rang again immediately. Riley, please, Mom's voicemail said. We need to talk about this like adults. You're upset, but you're not seeing the bigger picture. The bigger picture, I repeated. Apparently, the bigger picture is Georgia driving around in a BMW while I eat ramen for dinner. When's the last time you bought yourself something nice? Adrian asked. I thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't remember. New clothes? Target clearance rack maybe 6 months ago. Vacation? I haven't taken a vacation in 3 years. Riley, Adrian's voice was gentle. Normal families don't work like this. They said it was temporary, that once I got established, once Georgia got on her feet. Georgia's 23. She has a degree. How much more on her feet does she need to be? My laptop chimed with an email notification. Georgia. Subject line, can we talk? I read aloud. Don't open it, Adrian said. I opened it anyway. Riley, I know you're upset about the car situation, but you're making this way more dramatic than it needs to be. Mom and Dad explained that the money was always meant to be flexible for family needs. I didn't ask for the car, but they insisted because they want me to succeed. You should be happy that your hard work is helping me launch my career. Isn't that what big sisters are supposed to do? Love you. Gee, she thinks I should be happy, I said, showing Adrian the screen. She's delusional. Or she's exactly what they raised her to be. Adrian stood up and started pacing. You know what you need to do, right? Cry myself to sleep and pretend this never happened? No, you need to fight back. How? The money's gone. They legally had access to the account. Maybe legally, but not ethically. And definitely not without consequences. What consequences? They'll just gaslight me more. Tell me I'm being selfish and ungrateful. Only if you let them control the narrative. I looked at him. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting you stop being the family doormat and start being the family nightmare. Adrian, when's Georgia's graduation party? Saturday. Why? How many people will be there? The whole extended family, neighbors, her friends, maybe 40 people. Adrian smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. Perfect audience. For what? For the truth. My phone buzzed with a text from my coworker, Lily. Heard through the grapevine that you're having family drama. Coffee tomorrow? I have thoughts. Lily wants to meet for coffee, I said. Good. You need allies. I need a new family. Maybe. But first, you need justice. I looked at the papers scattered around my room. 15 years of evidence. 15 years of proof that I'd been played. They're expecting me to just roll over and take it, I said. Are you going to? For the first time in my life, the answer was crystal clear. No. Adrian grinned. Now we're talking. But Riley? Yeah? When you decide to burn it all down, make sure you're standing upwind. I started gathering the papers into neat piles. Evidence, ammunition, proof. Saturday's going to be interesting, I said. Saturday's going to be legendary. Thursday morning, I met Lily at our usual coffee shop. She took one look at my face and ordered me a double shot. Spill, she said, sliding into the booth across from me. I told her everything. The house, the account, the BMW. By the end, she was gripping her mug so hard I thought it might crack. Those bastards, she said. Riley, this is criminal. Adrian said the same thing. Adrian's right. What are you going to do about it? I pulled out my phone and showed her the photos I'd taken of all my documentation. I'm going to make them pay. How? Georgia's graduation party. Saturday. Everyone will be there. Lily's eyes lit up. Public humiliation. Public truth-telling. Even better, she leaned forward. What do you need? Help making copies of everything, and maybe a witness who isn't emotionally invested. Done. What else? A lawyer's opinion on whether I have any legal recourse. My cousin's a lawyer. I'll call her today. We spent the next hour planning. Lily was ruthless in a way that surprised me. You need to hit them where it hurts most, she said. Their reputation. I just want my money back. Riley, they stole from you for 15 years. They deserve whatever's coming. That afternoon, I played the perfect daughter. I helped Mom plan the party menu, confirmed RSVPs, and even offered to pick up the decorations. You seem better today, Mom said, arranging flowers in a vase. I'm glad you're not still upset about the misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? About the account. I know it was a shock, but you'll see that we made the right choice for the family. I smiled and nodded. You're probably right. Georgia's going to be so surprised when she sees the car. We're unveiling it right after dinner before dessert. Perfect timing. And Riley, thank you for being so mature about this. I knew you'd come around. I kept smiling until she left the room, then texted Adrian. They think I've come around. This is going to be even better than we planned. Friday evening, Lily's cousin called me back. I reviewed the documents you sent, she said. Legally, since your parents were on the account, they had the right to withdraw the money. But morally and ethically, this is financial abuse, clear as day. So I have no legal recourse. Not criminally, but civilly. You could potentially sue for the money back, especially with the documentation you have proving it was your earnings and your stated intent to use it for a house. How strong is the case? Strong enough to make their lives very uncomfortable. The threat of a lawsuit might be enough to get them to negotiate. What would that look like? A formal demand letter, payment plan, public record of the dispute if it goes to court. Send me everything I need. Saturday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from Georgia. I called her back. Riley, oh my God, finally, I'm freaking out about tonight. Why? What if people don't like the car? What if they think it's too much? What if, Georgia, it's a BMW. People will love it. You really think so? I think you're going to get exactly the reaction you deserve. You're the best sister ever. I'm so lucky to have you. The irony was suffocating. At noon, Adrian came over with a printer and helped me make copies of everything. Bank statements, deposit slips, my spreadsheet, the lawyer's demand letter. You sure about this? He asked, watching me organize everything into neat folders. They had 15 years to do the right thing. I'm done waiting. No backing down once you start. I know. Your parents will never forgive you. Good. Maybe that makes us even. At 3 p.m., I got a text from Dad. Hope you're planning to be on your best behavior tonight. This is George's day. I texted back, wouldn't miss it for the world. At 4 p.m., I put on my nicest dress, the one I'd bought 3 years ago for a job interview, and did my makeup carefully. If I was going to burn my family to the ground, I was going to look good doing it. At 5 p.m., I loaded my car with the evidence folders and drove to my parents' house. The party was already in full swing. Georgia held court on the back patio, radiant in a new dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Extended family mingled around the yard, drinks in hand, everyone talking about Georgia's bright future. Uncle Lamar spotted me first. Riley, there's our responsible one. How's the job going? Great, Uncle Lamar. Really great. Your parents are so proud of how you've turned out. Both their girls, so successful. We'll see about that. He laughed, thinking I was joking. I wasn't joking. Mom appeared at my elbow. Riley, can you help me bring out the appetizers? In a minute, Mom. I need to get something from my car first. What could you possibly need from your car? I smiled at her, the same smile I'd been giving her my whole life. Georgia's graduation present. The party was in full swing by 6 o'clock. Georgia floated between groups of relatives and friends, soaking up congratulations like a sponge. She changed into her third outfit of the day, a designer sundress that probably cost more than my grocery budget for 2 months. Riley! Aunt Poppy grabbed my arm as I walked past with my gift bag. Isn't this exciting? George is finally graduating, and I heard there's a big surprise coming. Oh, there's definitely going to be a surprise, I said. Your parents are just glowing with pride. Both their daughters turned out so well. I spotted Adrian by the drink table, nursing a beer and watching me carefully. He gave me a subtle nod. Excuse me, Aunt Poppy. I need to find a good spot for George's gift. I placed the elegantly wrapped box on the gift table, right next to a pile of cards and smaller presents. The weight of the folders inside made it heavier than it looked. Riley, there you are. Dad appeared beside me, his voice low. I hope you're planning to keep things pleasant tonight. Why wouldn't I? You know why? This isn't the time or place for dramatics. Dramatics? I turned to face him fully. Dad, when have I ever been dramatic? He studied my face, looking for signs of rebellion. Just remember, this is George's night. Trust me, I'll never forget tonight. Something in my tone made him frown. But before he could respond, Mom clinked a fork against her wine glass. Everyone, can I have your attention, please? The crowd gathered on the patio, about 40 people total. I counted them quickly. Uncle Lamar, Aunt Poppy, Cousin Ella, Georgia's boyfriend Zachariah, several neighbors, Georgia's college friends, and extended family I only saw at holidays. Perfect audience. We're so thrilled you could all be here to celebrate our Georgia's graduation, Mom began, her voice carrying that practiced hostess tone. She's worked so hard for this moment. Georgia beamed, accepting kisses and hugs from everyone within reach. But before we have dessert, Dad jumped in, we have a very special surprise for our graduate. Oh my God, what did you guys do? Georgia squealed, playing up the surprise even though she obviously knew what was coming. Well, Mom said, we know how important it is for a young professional to have reliable transportation. No way, Georgia gasped. covering her mouth with her hands in mock shock. So we got you a little something to help launch your career, Dad said, pulling out car keys with a BMW keychain. The crowd erupted in cheers and applause. Georgia burst into tears, the pretty kind that didn't mess up her makeup. You guys are the best parents in the world, she sobbed, hugging them both. Her speech! Speech! Someone called out. Georgia wiped her eyes and turned to face everyone. I can't believe this. I'm so grateful to have parents who believe in me and invest in my future. And I'm especially grateful to my big sister Riley, who's always been such an amazing example of responsibility and hard work. She looked right at me, her eyes shining with genuine affection. For a split second, I almost wavered. Almost. The car is absolutely gorgeous, she continued. I promise I'll take good care of it and make you all proud. More applause, more hugs, more gushing about what wonderful parents Eugene and Denise were, how lucky their daughters were, how beautiful the family bond was. Now, Mom said, let's move on to gifts. Georgia, why don't you start with Riley's? It looks like she put a lot of thought into the wrapping. All eyes turned to me. Georgia practically skipped over to the gift table and picked up my box. Ooh, it's heavy, she said, shaking it gently. What did you get me, sis? I walked over to stand next to her, my heart hammering, but my voice steady. Something I think you really need, I said. Something that tells the whole truth about how you got that car. Georgia's smile faltered slightly. What? Open it. She tore off the wrapping paper and lifted the lid. Inside, neatly arranged, were copies of bank statements, deposit records, and a formal legal document. What is this? She asked, pulling out the top folder. 15 years of financial records, I said, my voice carrying across the now silent patio. Documenting every dollar I earned and deposit into what I thought was my savings account. Riley, Dad said sharply, this isn't appropriate. You're right, I said, taking the folder from Georgia's hands. It's not appropriate to steal $47,000 from your daughter. But here we are. The silence was deafening. What's she talking about? Uncle Lamar asked. I opened the folder and pulled out my spreadsheet. I'm talking about how Mom and Dad spent my entire life savings, money I earned working overtime for 15 years, to buy Georgia that BMW. That's not, Mom started. Every deposit is documented, I continued, holding up bank statements. Every sacrifice I made, every dollar I saved thinking I was building toward my own future. All of it went to buy my sister a luxury car. Georgia's face had gone white. Riley, you're scaring me. You should be scared, I said, because everyone here is about to learn exactly what kind of family we really are. I pulled out the lawyer's letter and held it up for everyone to see. This is a formal demand for repayment, I announced. $47,312. The exact amount my parents stole from my savings account to buy Georgia her graduation present. Riley, stop this right now, Dad hissed, stepping toward me. No, I stepped back, keeping the crowd between us. I'm done stopping. I'm done being quiet. I'm done pretending this is normal. What's she talking about? Aunt Poppy asked, looking confused. I opened the folder and started reading from my spreadsheet. March 2009. Deposit in my first paycheck, $437. Mom said it was smart to save for my future. July 2009. Work double shifts to deposit an extra $600. Dad said he was proud of my responsibility. Riley, please, Mom whispered, her face pale. December 2015. Skipped Christmas presents for everyone to deposit my entire holiday bonus, $800. You told me I was being mature and forward-thinking. This is private family business, Dad said loudly, trying to regain control. Private? I laughed, and it came out sharp and bitter. You made it public the second you spent my money on a car for the whole neighborhood to admire. Uncle Lamar stepped forward. Eugene? What is she talking about? She's having some kind of breakdown, Dad said. The stress of... I'm having a breakdown. I cut him off. I found the perfect house, put in an offer, went to withdraw my down payment, and discovered you'd cleaned out my account. 15 years of savings, gone. The account was in our names, too, Mom said weakly, because you convinced me it was safer that way. You said I was too young to manage that much money alone. You said you were protecting my future. I turned to address the crowd directly. Every person here has heard them brag about how responsible I am, how I never ask for anything, how I always put family first. Want to know why? Silence. Because they trained me to. Every dollar I earned went into that account. Every sacrifice I made was for the family. Every time I said no to friends, no to trips, no to anything that cost money, it was because I was building towards something. Riley, Georgia said, tears streaming down her face, I didn't know. Didn't know what? That the car cost $47,000? That it was paid for with my money? Or did you just not care where it came from? I thought they saved up for it. I pulled out my phone and opened my text messages. Really? Because here's a text thread from last week. I read aloud. Georgia. To Mom. Riley's being weird about money lately. Think she suspects something? Mom to Georgia. Don't worry, she never stands up for herself. She'll get over it. The crowd gasped. Georgia's face crumpled. You were laughing about it, I continued, making jokes about how I never fight back, how I'm too much of a doormat to cause problems. That's taken out of context, Mom said desperately. What context makes it okay? I demanded. What context makes it acceptable to steal from your daughter and then mock her for being too broken to fight back? Uncle Lamar cleared his throat. Eugene? Denise? Is this true? It's complicated, Dad said. It's not complicated, I shot back. They stole my money. Here's the proof. I started handing out copies of bank statements to people in the crowd. Uncle Lamar, Aunt Poppy, the neighbors, George's friends, every deposit documented, every withdrawal traced, 15 years of financial abuse, all laid out in black and white. Financial abuse? Mom's voice cracked. Riley, we're your parents. We were managing your money responsibly, managing it right into George's driveway. Zachariah, George's boyfriend, was reading over one of the bank statements. Babe, he said quietly, this shows deposits of like $2,000 a month for years. Where did you think that car money came from? I thought they saved up, Georgia sobbed. With what money? I asked. Dad's been at the same job for 10 years. Mom works part-time. Where exactly did you think they got $47,000 in cash? I don't know. I didn't think about it. Of course you didn't. You never had to think about money because I was always there to provide it. Aunt Poppy was studying the documents with a frown. Eugene, these deposits, this is a lot of money. Riley's always been a good saver, he said weakly. This isn't saving, Uncle Lamar said, his voice hard. This is exploitation. Thank you, I said. Finally, someone sees it. Riley, you're ruining everything, Georgia screamed suddenly. This is my graduation party, my special day. Why are you doing this to me? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Because, I said, my voice steady and clear, for 15 years, every day was your special day. Every celebration was about you. Every dollar was for you. Every sacrifice was for your benefit. And I'm done. You're jealous, she spat. You've always been jealous that Mom and Dad love me more. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Even Georgia seemed to realize she'd gone too far. Maybe they do love you more, I said, but that doesn't give them the right to steal from me to prove it. Mom suddenly swayed and grabbed Dad's arm. I think I'm going to faint. Don't you dare, I said sharply. Don't you dare play victim now. But she collapsed anyway, and Dad catching her as she went down. The party erupted into chaos. People rushing to help, others backing away. Georgia screaming that I'd ruined everything. In the middle of it all, I stood holding my evidence, finally free. Mom's fainting spell lasted exactly 30 seconds, just long enough for Dad to help her to a chair and for the crowd to form a concerned circle around her. I'm fine, she said weakly, fanning herself with a napkin. Just overwhelmed by all this hostility. Hostility? I stepped closer. You steal my life savings, and I'm the hostile one? Riley, your mother just fainted, Dad snapped. Show some compassion. I showed compassion for 15 years. Where was yours when you were emptying my account? Uncle Lamar was still studying the bank statements. Eugene, these numbers don't lie. Riley deposited nearly $50,000 over the years. And we used it responsibly, Dad said, his voice getting defensive. For family needs. Family needs? Aunt Poppy looked up from the documents. A BMW is a family need? Georgia needed reliable transportation for job interviews. I drive a 10-year-old Honda, I interrupted. Apparently my job interviews weren't important enough for reliable transportation. That's different, Mom said, her voice stronger now. You were already established. I was established because I never had money to take risks, because every dollar went to this family. Zachariah was scrolling through his phone. Babe, he said to Georgia, people are already posting about this online. Someone filmed part of it. Georgia's face went white. What? Your friend Jessica posted a video. It's already got like 50 comments. Delete it, Georgia shrieked. Make her delete it. I can't make her delete it. It's her account. This is a disaster, Georgia moaned. Everyone's going to see this. My new job, my friends, everyone. Maybe you should have thought about that before you let them buy you a car with stolen money, I said. It's not stolen. They're my parents, too. Did you earn it? I earned it by being a good daughter. By being their favorite, you mean? Uncle Lamar cleared his throat. I think we need to step back and address this properly. Eugene, Denise, this situation is unacceptable. Lamar, please, Dad said. This is between us and our daughters. No, it's not. Uncle Lamar's voice carried the authority of being the family patriarch. When you steal from one child to spoil another, it becomes everyone's business. We didn't steal anything, Mom protested. The account was in our names. Because you manipulated me into putting it there, I said. You convinced me I was too irresponsible to manage my own money. Aunt Poppy was shaking her head. Denise, I've watched you two favor Georgia for years, but this is criminal. It's not criminal, Dad said quickly. We had legal access to the account. Legal doesn't mean right, Adrian said, stepping forward. He'd been quiet until now, but his voice cut through the chaos. Riley trusted you. She worked herself to the bone, believing she was building a future. Who asked you? Dad snapped. Riley did. She asked me to witness this because she knew you'd try to gaslight her again. Gaslight, Mom's voice went shrill. We raised her to be responsible. You raised her to be your personal ATM, Adrian shot back. More people were pulling out their phones now, some taking pictures of the documents, others recording the argument. Stop filming, Georgia screamed. This is private. Nothing's private anymore, said one of her college friends. This is already all over social media. My reputation is ruined, Georgia sobbed. My career is over before it started. Your career? I stared at her. Your career that was funded by my money? I didn't know. You didn't want to know. There's a difference. Cousin Ella, who'd been quiet until now, suddenly spoke up. Actually, Georgia, you did know. Everyone turned to look at her. Last Christmas, you told me Riley was too stupid to realize how much money she was putting into the family account. You said it was hilarious how she thought she was saving for herself. Georgia's mouth fell open. I never said that. You did. I was uncomfortable with it then, but I didn't say anything. I should have. That's not what I meant. What did you mean? I asked. Georgia looked around desperately, but found no allies. Even Zachariah was backing away from her. I meant. You meant exactly what you said, I finished. You knew, and you thought it was funny. The lawyer's letter was still in my hand. I held it up again. This demands full repayment within 30 days, I announced. If you don't pay, I'm taking you to court. You can't sue your own parents, Dad said, but his voice lacked conviction. Watch me. Riley, Mom pleaded. We're family. Families don't sue each other. Families don't steal from each other either. But here we are. Uncle Lamar folded the bank statements and handed them back to me. Eugene, Denise, you need to make this right. We can't just come up with $47,000, Dad said. Then you shouldn't have spent it. The car's already bought, Mom said weakly. Then sell it, I said simply. I can't sell it, Georgia wailed. I need it for work. Get a job first, then worry about transportation. You're destroying our family, Dad said, his voice cold. I looked around at the scattered crowd, the shocked faces, the phone still recording, the evidence in my hands. No, I said, I'm just finally telling the truth about what you already destroyed. You taught me to be responsible, I continued, my voice carrying across the silent patio. Consider this my tuition paid in full. The party ended with people leaving in awkward clusters, whispering and clutching copies of my bank statements like evidence from a crime scene. Georgia locked herself in her childhood bedroom, and my parents retreated to their room to discuss the situation privately. I was loading my car when Uncle Lamar approached me. Riley, I owe you an apology, he said. I've watched this family dynamic for years and never spoke up. It's not your fault. It is partly. We all enabled it by praising you for being so responsible while ignoring how they were taking advantage of you. He handed me a business card. That's my lawyer. Tell him I sent you. He'll make sure you get every penny back. Uncle Lamar? No arguments. This is the least I can do. Adrian walked over as Uncle Lamar left. How are you holding up? Honestly, I feel like I can breathe for the first time in 15 years. Even with all the fallout, I looked back at the house where I'd spent my entire adult life being manipulated, especially with all the fallout. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. This is Jessica, Georgia's friend. I saw what happened tonight. I wanted you to know that Georgia has been bragging about that car for weeks, talking about how her parents finally came through for her. She knew exactly where the money came from. I showed Adrian the text. Save that, he said. More evidence. I don't think I'll need it. Why not? Before I could answer, Dad came outside. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in the past hour. Riley, we need to talk. I'm done talking. My lawyer will handle everything from here. Your lawyer? His voice cracked. Riley, please. We can work this out as a family. We stopped being a family the day you decided Georgia's wants were more important than my needs. That's not fair. For fair? I laughed. Dad, I haven't bought myself new clothes in 2 years because every extra dollar went into that account. Georgia gets a $47,000 car, and you're worried about fair? Mom appeared in the doorway, her makeup smeared from crying. Riley, if you sue us, we'll lose the house. Then you should have thought about that before you spent money that wasn't yours. We raised you, she said desperately. We fed you, clothed you, put a roof over your head. Doesn't that count for something? That's called being a parent. It's not a loan I need to pay back with interest. So what now? Dad asked. You destroy us financially and walk away? I'm not destroying anything. I'm just stopping the destruction of me. Georgia finally emerged from the house, her face blotchy from crying. Riley, can we please talk? Just us? What's left to say? I'm sorry, I really am. I didn't realize how much you'd sacrificed. Yes, you did. You just didn't care. That's not true. I pulled out my phone and showed her Jessica's text. Your friend says otherwise. Georgia read it and went pale. She's lying. Is she? because I have 17 other messages from people who were at the party tonight. Apparently, you've been pretty vocal about how stupid I am for working so hard while you get all the benefits. I never meant. You meant exactly what you said, just like you meant it when you called me pathetic for never standing up for myself. I was just venting. I didn't think. You didn't think I'd ever find out. You didn't think I'd ever fight back. You thought you could take everything from me, and I'd just smile and ask if you needed anything else. Tears streamed down her face. What do you want from me? Nothing. I don't want anything from any of you anymore. So that's it? Dad asked. You're just cutting us out of your life? You cut me out of my own life. I'm just making it official. I got in my car and rolled down the window. The lawyer's letter gives you 30 days, I said. I suggest you start figuring out how to come up with the money. And if we can't, Mom asked, then you'll find out what it feels like to lose everything you thought was secure. I drove away without looking back. The next morning, I woke up in my studio apartment, the place I'd been renting month to month because I thought I'd be moving into my dream house soon. For the first time in years, I made coffee just for me, ate breakfast just for me, and opened a new bank account that only had my name on it. My phone had 43 missed calls from various family members. I deleted them all without listening. At noon, there was a knock on my door. A courier with an envelope. Inside was a cashier's check for $47,312, along with a note. The car has been returned to the dealer. We're sorry. E&D. I stared at the check for a long time, then deposited it using my phone. That afternoon, I called the realtor about the house. Is it still available? Actually, yes. The other buyer's financing fell through yesterday. Perfect. I can have the deposit to you by tomorrow. As I hung up, I realized something had shifted. The weight I'd been carrying for 15 years was gone. The constant anxiety about money, about family obligations, about being good enough, all of it had lifted. I wasn't their safety net anymore. I wasn't their backup plan or their emergency fund or their reliable daughter who never asked for anything. I was just Riley, and for the first time in my adult life, that felt like enough. My phone buzzed with a text from Adrian. How does it feel to finally be free? I looked around my tiny apartment, at the life I was about to build with my own money, on my own terms. Like coming home to myself, I texted back. Karma's ledger always balances. This time, mine was finally in the black.